Princess Catherine's heartwarming reaction when a fan's chair broke during the Christmas service. The city streets were lightly dusted with snow, and the soft crunch under the feet of early morning walkers added a charming rhythm to the otherwise still morning. Brightly colored wreaths and twinkling lights adorned shop windows, giving every passerby a little sparkle of holiday joy. Inside the grand cathedral, the atmosphere was just as enchanting, though it carried a different kind of magic, one that felt reverent, celebratory, and deeply traditional all at once. People had started arriving hours earlier, bundled in thick coats, scarves, and gloves, their breath forming small clouds in the cold air as they waited patiently to enter the cathedral. Excitement mingled with anticipation. Everyone knew that this Christmas service was special, not just because of the music or the decorations, but because members of the royal family, including Princess Catherine, would be present. Many families had brought young children, eager for them to see the princess up close, while older attendees whispered stories about past services, recalling moments of royal kindness or memorable Christmas sermons. The cathedral doors opened, and a gentle hum of awe spread across the crowd. High ceilings, stone arches, and large stained-glass windows bathed the space in soft, multicolored light. The smell of pine and candles filled the air, mixing with the faint scent of polished wood from the pews. Choirs had begun rehearsing quietly in the background, their voices blending with the rustle of coats and the shuffling of eager feet. Every detail, from the delicate poinsettias arranged along the aisles to the golden glow of the chandeliers, contributed to a feeling that something extraordinary was about to happen. Princess Catherine arrived amid a soft fanfare, though nothing overly showy. She entered not with haste, but with the kind of graceful ease that seemed natural to her. Her smile was warm and genuine, reaching her eyes in a way that made every person she looked at feel seen. She wore a simple yet elegant dress in a soft color that complemented the festive surroundings, paired with a coat that was stylish but practical. Her hair was perfectly arranged, but not overly formal, allowing her approachable personality to shine through. There was a lightness in her step, a sense that she was happy to be there, not because she had to be, but because she wanted to share the joy of the season with everyone present. As she moved slowly down the aisle, the crowd responded with a mixture of polite applause, soft gasps, and excited murmurs. People craned their necks to catch a glimpse of her, some raising their phones discreetly to capture a moment they would cherish forever. Children's faces lit up at the sight of the princess, and parents held them a little higher, hoping for a wave or a smile. Every few steps, Princess Catherine paused to exchange a few words or offer a gentle nod, her attention unwavering despite the sea of eyes upon her. There was a quiet intimacy in the way she interacted, a sense that each individual mattered in that brief moment. The choir began a familiar carol, their voices echoing softly through the cathedral. Princess Catherine listened for a moment, her expression reflecting a mix of joy and thoughtfulness. The music seemed to put everyone at ease, creating a shared sense of community that transcended age, status, or background. Even the staff and security officers, usually focused on maintaining order, couldn't help but smile at the festive harmony that filled the space. There was an undeniable magic in seeing such a large gathering of people, all united by the spirit of Christmas and the presence of someone who carried herself with genuine kindness. People who had attended previous services whispered quietly to one another, commenting on how different it felt to see the princess so relaxed and warm. "She truly cares," one woman said softly to her friend. "You can see it in her eyes." The friend nodded, agreeing, as they both watched Princess Catherine pause to adjust the coat of a young child who had stumbled slightly in the pews. The princess knelt ever so slightly to speak with the child, her voice soft and comforting, making the little one giggle shyly. It was in these small, unscripted moments that her true nature seemed to shine, someone who valued connection over ceremony and compassion over protocol. As the service progressed, the cathedral grew even more filled with energy and anticipation. The congregation's excitement wasn't loud or boisterous. It was the quiet, persistent buzz of hundreds of hearts beating in unison. Families whispered Christmas wishes to one another, elders recounted holiday traditions, and children pointed at the colorful decorations with wide eyes. Princess Catherine, moving gracefully among them, seemed to embody the very spirit of the season, bringing warmth, joy, and a gentle calm that made the cold winter day feel a little brighter. Even the smallest details seemed to reflect her thoughtfulness. She paused to admire a handmade ornament held by a young girl, kneeling slightly so they could share a moment of genuine conversation. Her laughter, light and melodic, resonated through the aisle, making those nearby smile in response. People began to notice not just her beauty or poise, but her ability to make each interaction meaningful. There was no rush, no sense of a scripted appearance. Instead, there was an authenticity that touched everyone who watched her. Time seemed to move both quickly and slowly at once. The grand cathedral, filled with centuries of history, seemed to pause for just a moment, allowing the present to shine. The warm glow of the chandeliers reflected in the polished floors, and the sunlight streaming through the stained glass created rainbow patterns across the pews. Princess Catherine's presence added to the sense of wonder, her genuine warmth radiating through the space and inviting others to share in the joy. People who had traveled far distances felt that their journey was worth it. The elderly couple who had arrived before dawn, the young students who had saved up to come, and even those who were attending their first royal Christmas service, all found a connection in the way Princess Catherine engaged with them. It wasn't merely about waving or taking a photo. It was about acknowledgement, a recognition of each person's presence. That small but meaningful attention made the festive day unforgettable. Amid the chatter, the soft hum of the choir, and the rustle of coats, Princess Catherine took a moment to look around, taking in the scene with quiet appreciation. She noticed the little acts of kindness around her, the volunteer helping an elderly man find a seat, children sharing a candy cane, families holding hands tightly to keep warm. She smiled gently, understanding that Christmas was not only about tradition or ceremony, but about community, connection, and care. Her presence amplified that feeling, turning a routine service into a heartwarming celebration of shared humanity. Even the photographers and journalists, usually keen on capturing formal poses, found themselves caught off guard by the naturalness of the scene. Princess Catherine moved with ease, responding to each person as if the crowd was smaller than it was, giving her full attention to each encounter. There was an intimacy in her approach that contrasted sharply with the grandeur of the setting, creating a unique blend of majesty and approachability. People often remarked later that she had a way of making everyone feel like they were the only one in the room, a rare and beautiful quality for someone in her position. As the morning service continued, the excitement remained steady, building subtly as everyone anticipated the moment when the royal family would take their places at the front. The congregation sang along with the choir, their voices merging in a rich tapestry of sound. Children's laughter occasionally bubbled over, punctuated by the soft sounds of rustling hymn books and the occasional cough. Princess Catherine's calm presence seemed to guide the mood, bringing a sense of order and serenity without diminishing the lively spirit of the gathering. By the time she reached the center aisle, people were leaning forward in their seats, eager to see and interact with her. She paused once more, offering a bright smile, nodding in acknowledgement, and giving a gentle wave to those who could not reach her directly. Her eyes held a kindness that was both reassuring and inspiring, a subtle reminder of the humanity behind the title. For a moment, every worry, every distraction, and every concern felt lighter, replaced by the simple joy of shared celebration. Even as the service began to officially start, Princess Catherine continued to engage quietly with the crowd, exchanging a few words here and there, adjusting a scarf, or laughing softly with a child. Each gesture, though small, created lasting memories for those around her. People would later recall not the grandeur of the cathedral or the decorations alone, but the way the princess made them feel noticed, valued, and part of something bigger than themselves. It was a rare gift, the ability to combine royal grace with human warmth, and everyone present was grateful to witness it firsthand. As part one of the day drew to a close, the energy inside the cathedral was palpable. There was a sense of anticipation, a feeling that something memorable was just around the corner. Princess Catherine, moving gracefully among the congregation, embodied the heart of the season: warmth, compassion, and genuine connection. Little did anyone know that the morning held an unexpected moment, one that would become a story retold for years to come, showcasing her kindness in a way that would touch countless hearts. The Christmas service was in full swing, and the cathedral was alive with the soft murmur of voices, the gentle rustling of hymn books, and the occasional creak of wooden pews as people shifted in their seats. Princess Catherine had moved gracefully among the crowd, her presence a quiet but shining thread weaving through the congregation. People were still buzzing from the brief interactions they had shared with her, the nods, the smiles, the small exchanges that felt deeply personal. Yet as the service continued, something unexpected was about to unfold. A small accident that would catch everyone's attention and reveal the princess's true warmth in a way that words alone could not capture. A young fan, a woman in her mid-20s who had traveled from a nearby town to attend the service, had been waiting patiently near the aisle. She was full of excitement, her heart pounding with anticipation. She had dreamed of seeing Princess Catherine in person for years, imagining this exact moment in her mind countless times. She had carefully chosen her outfit, a modest winter coat over a festive dress, and had arrived early to secure a good spot. The morning had gone smoothly so far, and now, seeing the princess move gracefully among the congregation, she felt a mix of awe and nervousness. The fan had been standing on a wooden chair, leaning slightly forward to catch a glimpse of the princess when she waved or smiled. She was not trying to be disruptive, she just wanted to see more clearly in the crowded space. Many others had done the same, and it seemed harmless at first. But the chair she had chosen was old and slightly wobbly, its wooden legs showing signs of wear from years of service in the cathedral. No one noticed the tiny crack in one leg until it was almost too late. As Princess Catherine approached the front of the cathedral, the fan tried to steady herself on the chair, hoping to hold her position just a little longer. She wanted to see the princess up close when she reached the front, hoping to maybe even exchange a few words or simply share a smile. But just as she leaned forward to adjust her stance, there was a sudden and unmistakable sound, a sharp crack followed by a loud creak. The chair wobbled dangerously, and before she could react, it gave way completely, tipping to the side and sending the fan tumbling onto the floor with a startled gasp. Gasps of shock echoed through the congregation. Some people instinctively leaned forward from their pews to see if she was hurt, while others murmured worriedly to the person next to them. The cathedral, which had been filled with the gentle hum of carols and quiet conversations, suddenly fell into a hush. Everyone's attention shifted from the service to the young woman on the floor. She was momentarily stunned, sitting on the cold stone floor with her arms wrapped around herself, heart racing from the sudden fall. A faint blush of embarrassment spread across her cheeks. She had not intended for this to happen, and the sudden attention only made her feel more flustered. Nearby attendants rushed forward immediately, their calm voices trying to reassure her as they helped her up. "Are you okay?" one asked, gently placing a hand on her shoulder. Another offered her a seat in a nearby pew, encouraging her to rest while the commotion settled. Despite the fall, she was unharmed, save for a small scrape on her hand from the chair's edge. Yet the embarrassment lingered, a heavy weight on her shoulders as she tried to collect herself. Then, Princess Catherine arrived. Her presence alone seemed to soften the tension in the cathedral. She had noticed the commotion from a few steps away and moved quickly, but gracefully, toward the young fan. Her expression was calm and composed, a perfect balance of concern and reassurance. She knelt slightly so that she could speak to the fan at eye level, immediately putting her at ease. There was no hint of judgment or irritation, only a warm, genuine interest in her well-being. "Oh my, are you all right?" Princess Catherine asked softly, her voice carrying a melodic kindness that seemed to fill the space around them. She reached out a hand in a gentle gesture, helping the fan steady herself as she took a seat on a nearby chair. "That looked like quite a tumble," the princess continued, her tone light and comforting, making the young woman feel instantly less embarrassed. The fan, still blushing, managed a shaky laugh. Yes, I'm okay," she replied, her voice barely above a whisper. I didn't mean to," Princess Catherine interrupted her softly, smiling in a way that felt like a small embrace. "No need to worry," she said. "Accidents happen to all of us. You're safe now, and that's what matters." Her calm and reassuring demeanor had an immediate effect. The fan's shoulders relaxed, and she felt a wave of relief wash over her. The embarrassment that had seemed so overwhelming moments ago began to fade, replaced by a growing admiration for the princess's kindness. Attendants and other onlookers watched in quiet awe as the princess stayed with the fan for a few moments longer. She asked simple, caring questions. Do you need a moment? And would you like some water? As if speaking to a friend rather than a stranger. The way she listened, giving her full attention without distraction, made the fan feel truly seen. It was a small interaction, yet it carried a weight far beyond what anyone could have anticipated. A few children nearby, who had witnessed the fall, watched Princess Catherine with wide eyes. They whispered to each other about how gentle and caring she was, pointing out how she had knelt to speak with someone who had fallen. Their parents nodded quietly, pleased to see such a positive example of compassion in action. The moment became a teaching point in its own right, showing that kindness and empathy were more important than appearances or status. The fan, still recovering from the shock, felt her nerves settle further as Princess Catherine continued to engage with her. She mentioned something lighthearted about the chair, joking gently without making the fan feel foolish. I think that chair might be retired after today, the princess said with a soft laugh, and the tension broke completely. The fan found herself laughing too, her earlier embarrassment transforming into a shared moment of lightness and human connection. Nearby, the congregation had returned their focus to the service, but there was a noticeable shift in the atmosphere. What could have been an awkward or negative incident had instead become a warm, shared experience. People whispered to one another about how gracious and kind Princess Catherine had been, admiring the way she had handled the situation. The young fan, now seated safely, felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude. She realized that she would never forget this moment, not because of the fall itself, but because of the compassion she had received in its wake. As the service continued, Princess Catherine stayed for a few more seconds, ensuring the fan was comfortable and ready to rejoin the congregation. She gave a final reassuring smile and moved gracefully back to her place among the other attendees and royal family members. The young woman watched her go, her heart full of admiration and a sense of wonder at the unexpected kindness she had experienced. The embarrassment had completely disappeared, replaced by a warm glow that she would carry with her for the rest of the day, and likely for many years to come. The choir's voices swelled once more, filling the cathedral with the sound of a joyful Christmas carol. The congregation sang along, their voices blending into a rich, harmonious wave. Princess Catherine, now back in her formal place, appeared serene and composed, her attention gently shifting back to the service. Yet the memory of the brief interaction, the way she had knelt, smiled, and offered comfort, lingered in the minds of those who had witnessed it. It was a subtle reminder that small acts of kindness could transform moments, turning potential embarrassment into something beautiful and heartwarming. Even the fan, still catching her breath, felt a deep sense of connection. She had traveled far to be there, and the fall could have been a negative memory. Instead, it became a story of human warmth, a personal encounter with someone she had long admired from afar. She realized that the princess's reaction was not just polite or ceremonial, it was genuine, coming from a place of true empathy and care. People nearby continued to talk softly about the incident, their voices tinged with admiration. "Did you see how she knelt?" one whispered. "She didn't hesitate for a second. She made her feel safe and comfortable immediately." Another nodded, adding, "It's amazing how she can turn an accident into something so heartwarming." Even those who had been focusing on the service found themselves quietly inspired by the display of kindness. As the minutes passed, the fan reflected on the experience. She realized that while she had come to see a princess, she had left feeling seen as a person. It was a subtle but powerful distinction, one that made the entire event unforgettable. The small accident with the chair had created a story she would tell for years. A story not about a fall, but about compassion, empathy, and the warmth that could shine from someone truly remarkable. Meanwhile, Princess Catherine continued with the service, seamlessly blending royal grace with human approachability. She engaged with others in the congregation, offering smiles, nods, and soft words of encouragement. Yet the earlier incident had already left a lasting impression on everyone who had witnessed it. The story of the fan's fall and the princess's response spread quietly through the congregation, becoming a highlight of the morning service, remembered not for mishap but for heart. By the time the service drew to its formal conclusion, the warmth of the cathedral had intensified. People left with their hearts full, inspired by the royal presence and the moments of genuine care they had witnessed. The young fan walked away, feeling lighter and happier than she had ever imagined, her memory of the day forever linked to a small accident and a remarkable display of human kindness. It was a moment that would be retold for years, a story of humility, compassion, and grace in the midst of everyday life, showing that even in formal and grand settings, true warmth could shine through. The young fan, now seated safely, could hardly believe what had just happened. One moment she had been standing on the chair, filled with excitement and anticipation, and the next, she had fallen and found herself at the center of attention. Usually an incident like this would have been embarrassing and uncomfortable, leaving the person feeling small and awkward. But this was different. Princess Catherine's response had completely changed the mood, replacing fear and shame with comfort and warmth. The fan still felt her heartbeat slow as she replayed the princess's gentle words in her mind. "No need to worry. Accidents happen to all of us. You're safe now, and that's what matters." The princess remained kneeling slightly, her attention fully on the fan. There was no rush, no sign of impatience, and no distraction from the service around her. She leaned in just a little, her voice soft and melodic as she asked simple questions that showed real concern. "Do you need a moment to rest?" she asked. "Would you like some water?" The young fan, still recovering from the surprise, nodded slowly. She could barely believe that someone so famous was speaking to her as if she were an old friend. Nearby, the attendants and security staff maintained a careful balance. They ensured the situation was under control without intruding on the interaction. They watched quietly, impressed by the princess's natural ability to comfort someone in an unexpected moment. It was clear that her actions were instinctive, a reflection of genuine empathy rather than a rehearsed public gesture. Even the congregation, who had paused to witness the fall, seemed captivated by the way the princess handled the situation with calmness and grace. Princess Catherine's tone carried a gentle humor meant to ease the fan's embarrassment rather than highlight it. "I think that chair might be retired after today," she said softly, smiling. The fan, who had been biting her lip nervously, finally allowed herself to laugh. It was a nervous laugh at first, but it quickly became lighter and more genuine as the princess chuckled alongside her. In that brief shared moment, any lingering discomfort melted away. The young woman realized that what could have been a humiliating incident had instead become a heartwarming encounter she would never forget. "What's your name?" Princess Catherine asked, leaning in slightly. The fan hesitated for a moment, surprised that the princess was asking such a simple, personal question. Then she answered, her voice now steadier. "Emily," she said. "Emily Parker." "Emily," the princess repeated, smiling warmly. "It's so lovely to meet you." "I'm very glad you're okay." Her words were simple, but they carried a sincerity that touched Emily deeply. The young woman felt as though she had been given something far more valuable than a simple greeting. She had been acknowledged as a person, seen and cared for in a moment of vulnerability. Emily's mind raced with a mix of emotions. She wanted to express her gratitude, but words seemed inadequate. Instead, she smiled shyly and nodded, trying to convey her thanks through her expression alone. Princess Catherine noticed, of course, and responded with a reassuring smile, one that seemed to say, "It's perfectly fine. You don't need to be nervous." The comfort in that gesture was enough to make Emily feel at ease, like a heavy weight had been lifted from her shoulders. Nearby attendees watched quietly, inspired by the interaction. They noticed how Princess Catherine's presence seemed to change the energy of the cathedral itself. Where there had been concern and tension just moments ago, there was now warmth, calm, and a quiet joy. People whispered to one another in hushed tones, remarking on the princess's kindness. "She really cares, doesn't she?" one woman said softly to her friend. "It's incredible how she can make someone feel so safe and valued." The friend nodded, clearly moved, as they both observed the princess gently engaging with Emily. As Emily began to settle into her seat, Princess Catherine stayed for a few more moments. She asked about small, ordinary things, the journey Emily had taken to reach the cathedral, whether she enjoyed the decorations, and what her favorite part of the Christmas season was. Each question was simple, yet each carried a weight of genuine interest. Emily found herself answering openly, feeling that her words mattered and that she was truly being listened to. The princess leaned slightly closer when Emily mentioned she loved music. "Do you enjoy singing?" she asked softly. Emily nodded eagerly, explaining that she often sang in her church choir back home. Princess Catherine listened attentively, nodding in encouragement. "That's wonderful," she said. "Music has a way of connecting people, especially at Christmas. I'm so glad you get to share that joy with others." The words were heartfelt, and Emily felt an almost magical sense of connection. For a moment, she forgot about the fall entirely, swept up in the warmth of the conversation. Even the staff, who had been trained to maintain decorum and manage crowds, were moved by what they witnessed. Princess Catherine's ability to balance royal duties with genuine human care was remarkable. She was not simply performing for the audience. She was creating a real connection, one that would leave a lasting impression on everyone involved. Emily, in particular, would carry this memory with her forever, a story of kindness and empathy that would outshine the embarrassment of the fall. The princess's demeanor was calm and natural, yet every gesture was thoughtful. She adjusted a scarf that had slipped from Emily's shoulders, ensuring the young woman was comfortable. She lightly placed a hand on Emily's shoulder when speaking, a small but meaningful act of reassurance. The attention was neither overwhelming nor intrusive. It was measured, sincere, and deeply considerate. Emily felt a profound sense of safety, as though someone who cared deeply was protecting her in that small but significant moment. Around them, the cathedral seemed to pulse with quiet admiration. Children whispered excitedly to their parents, pointing at Princess Catherine and noting how gently she had handled the situation. Elderly attendees nodded with approval, recognizing a rare and genuine moment of empathy. The choir continued to sing softly in the background, providing a serene soundtrack to a scene that would remain etched in the memory of everyone present. Emily's embarrassment was now replaced with awe. She realized that while she had come to see a princess, she had experienced something far more personal, a display of genuine kindness that went beyond titles or appearances. Princess Catherine's response had transformed an ordinary mishap into a meaningful human interaction. Emily's heart swelled with gratitude, and she found herself wanting to remember every word, every gesture, and every smile. The princess gave Emily a final reassuring smile before standing gracefully. "I'm so glad you're okay," she said once more, her eyes warm and encouraging. "Enjoy the rest of the service and have a very Merry Christmas." Emily nodded, feeling a mixture of happiness, relief, and awe. The words, though simple, carried a sense of sincerity that left a lasting impression. Even after Princess Catherine moved on to greet others in the congregation, Emily felt a lingering sense of connection. She realized that the encounter had changed her perception of what it meant to meet someone of such high status. It wasn't about grandeur, ceremony, or formalities. It was about empathy, care, and shared humanity. For Emily, that moment had become the highlight of the day, an experience she would carry in her heart forever. As the service continued, other members of the congregation began to notice the ripple effect of Princess Catherine's kindness. People whispered softly to each other about how the princess had handled the situation. Some shared their own memories of moments when she had been compassionate or approachable, reinforcing the idea that her public presence was matched by genuine warmth. Children mimicked her gestures in their own playful way, while adults reflected quietly on the meaning of empathy and human connection. The choir's voices grew slightly louder, and the cathedral filled with the rich harmonies of Christmas carols. The congregation sang along, their voices merging into a collective expression of joy and celebration. Emily found herself joining in, her voice steady and confident, feeling part of something larger than herself. The earlier incident with the chair had become a background memory, overshadowed by the warmth and kindness she had experienced. As the service drew closer to its midpoint, Emily took a moment to reflect. She realized that Princess Catherine's actions had demonstrated a rare ability to balance dignity with humility, grace with authenticity. It was a lesson in compassion, one that transcended the boundaries of social status and reminded everyone present that even small gestures could have a profound impact. Emily felt inspired not only by the princess's kindness, but by the way it had transformed an unexpected accident into a moment of shared humanity. Nearby attendees continued to watch Princess Catherine, noting the way she interacted with others throughout the congregation. She maintained her warmth, her poise, and her attentive nature, moving gracefully from one interaction to the next. Yet the memory of her response to Emily's fall remained the most vivid for many. It was a story of empathy and care, of how a small accident could become an opportunity to show genuine human connection. By the time the service progressed to the readings and prayers, Emily felt a renewed sense of joy. She had come to the cathedral hoping to catch a glimpse of royalty, but she left with something far more meaningful, an experience of kindness, compassion, and a reminder that empathy could transform even the most awkward or unexpected moments. She realized that this Christmas service, which had begun as a routine celebration, had become extraordinary because of one person's ability to respond with warmth, grace, and genuine care. Even as the service continued and the congregation focused on the music, prayers, and traditions, Emily found herself thinking back to the moment with Princess Catherine. She replayed the conversation in her mind, remembering every word, every smile, and every gesture. The embarrassment of the fall had vanished completely, replaced by admiration, gratitude, and a deep sense of being valued. For Emily, the day had become unforgettable, not because of an accident, but because of the kindness and humanity she had witnessed firsthand. In that moment, Emily realized something important. True grace was not about perfection or ceremony, but about empathy, compassion, and the ability to connect with others in meaningful ways. Princess Catherine had shown this effortlessly, turning what could have been a simple mishap into a memorable, heartwarming experience. And as Emily joined in the congregation's singing, she felt a sense of unity and joy that would remain with her long after she left the cathedral. The Christmas service was nearing its end, yet the warmth and energy in the cathedral had not diminished. Princess Catherine, having moved gracefully through the congregation and offered moments of genuine kindness, now returned to her place with an air of quiet composure. She took her seat, allowing the rest of the service to unfold with the usual sense of reverence and joy, yet the atmosphere carried an extra layer of meaning. The brief interaction with Emily, the young fan whose chair had broken, had left a lasting impression not only on Emily herself, but on everyone who had witnessed the scene. Emily, seated safely now, could hardly stop replaying the events in her mind. What had started as a moment of embarrassment had become a profound experience she would never forget. The princess had not only noticed her fall, but had taken the time to kneel, to speak with her, and to make her feel comfortable. Each word and gesture had been carefully thought out yet natural, reflecting a rare combination of grace, empathy, and authenticity. Emily felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude. She realized that her admiration for Princess Catherine had grown beyond the typical fascination one might have for royalty. It had transformed into deep respect and heartfelt appreciation. As the service continued, Emily observed the princess interacting with others. She noticed how Catherine's attention was always genuine, whether she was smiling at a child, offering a kind word to an elderly attendee, or simply nodding in acknowledgement of someone's presence. The royal aura that often seemed distant and formal was replaced with a sense of approachability and warmth. Emily realized that these small, everyday acts of kindness were what made Princess Catherine truly remarkable. They were not gestures meant to be seen by the public or captured by cameras. They were genuine expressions of care. Nearby, the congregation continued to absorb the festive atmosphere. The choir's voices soared, filling the cathedral with music that seemed to lift everyone's spirits. Candles flickered gently along the aisles, their warm glow reflecting off the polished stone floors. Families held hands, children whispered to each other, and strangers exchanged smiles, all united by the shared celebration of Christmas. In the midst of this, the story of the young fan's fall and the princess's response quietly spread from pew to pew. People whispered to one another about how gracefully Catherine had handled the incident, and how her kindness had turned a small accident into a moment of connection. For many, this story became the highlight of the service. It was a reminder that even in grand, formal settings, the simplest gestures could have the most profound impact. Those who had been in the immediate vicinity of the incident spoke of it with quiet reverence, describing how the princess had knelt down, asked gentle questions, and reassured Emily with warmth and empathy. Some children tried to recount the event to their parents, explaining how the princess had smiled and made the fan feel safe. The parents nodded, recognizing the lesson in compassion and human connection that had unfolded before their eyes. Emily felt a growing sense of joy as she reflected on the interaction. She realized that this moment would remain with her for years to come, a story she would share with friends and family, a memory of kindness that had transcended her initial embarrassment. She could see how her own nervousness and fear had been replaced with confidence and warmth, all because someone had taken the time to respond with understanding and care. In that small, unassuming moment, Emily had experienced a rare form of human connection, one that transcended social status, wealth, or fame. The service continued with readings from the Bible and reflections on the meaning of Christmas. The priest spoke about love, compassion, and the importance of caring for one another. Emily listened with a heightened sense of awareness, finding the words especially meaningful after her encounter with the princess. She realized that the teachings of kindness and empathy were not just abstract concepts. They were alive in the actions of someone she had seen firsthand. Princess Catherine had embodied these values in a way that was tangible and inspiring, showing that true grace is measured not by appearances but by actions. As the congregation sang a hymn together, Emily joined in, her voice steady and clear. She felt a deep sense of belonging, a feeling that she was part of something larger than herself. The earlier incident with the chair had faded into the background, overshadowed by the warmth, joy, and connection she had experienced. For the first time that morning, she truly understood the spirit of Christmas, not just in the songs, the decorations, or the formal rituals, but in the small acts of care that bring people together. The choir continued to sing, their voices blending beautifully with the congregation. Princess Catherine occasionally turned to offer smiles and gentle nods to those around her, further reinforcing the sense of connection and unity. Emily noticed how the princess's presence seemed to make each individual feel seen, valued, and included. It was as if her attention created a ripple effect, spreading warmth and calm throughout the entire cathedral. People who had been tense or nervous moments earlier now felt relaxed and content, inspired by the princess's example of empathy and grace. After the formal prayers, the service moved into a more informal part of the celebration, where attendees could exchange greetings and enjoy the festive decorations. Emily looked around, noticing families taking photos, children pointing at the colorful lights, and volunteers assisting those who needed help. She realized that while she had come expecting to witness a traditional Christmas service, she had instead experienced something far more profound, a demonstration of humanity at its finest. As the service concluded, Princess Catherine prepared to leave the cathedral, but not before making a final effort to connect with attendees. She moved gracefully through the crowd, offering warm smiles, nods, and soft words of encouragement. Emily, still seated near the aisle, watched as the princess approached once more. This time, Catherine paused briefly to give Emily a final wave, her eyes sparkling with genuine warmth. "Merry Christmas," she said softly, and Emily felt a surge of joy and gratitude. It was a moment that seemed to encapsulate the entire spirit of the morning, a reminder that kindness, empathy, and genuine care can create lasting memories. As people began to leave the cathedral, many continued to talk about the incident and the princess's response. The story spread quietly but surely, carried by those who had witnessed it firsthand. Families discussed the importance of empathy, children recounted the princess's gentle gestures, and attendees shared how the moment had touched their hearts. It became clear that the interaction had a lasting impact, transforming what could have been an embarrassing accident into a beautiful, unforgettable memory. Emily left the cathedral with a heart full of gratitude and inspiration. She walked slowly through the snowy streets, replaying every detail of the encounter in her mind. The warmth she had felt from Princess Catherine lingered, creating a sense of calm and happiness that she carried with her. She thought about how small gestures of kindness could change someone's day, or even their life, and she felt motivated to extend that same warmth to others. The princess had not only cared for her in a moment of need, but had also inspired her to be more compassionate and empathetic in her own life. Back at home, Emily recounted the story to her family and friends. She spoke not only of the fall, but of the extraordinary response from Princess Catherine. Her family listened in awe as she described the princess's gentle words, her comforting gestures, and the way she had made Emily feel safe and valued. The story quickly became the highlight of Emily's Christmas, and she realized that it was not just about meeting royalty. It was about experiencing true human connection. In the days that followed, Emily often reflected on the encounter. She thought about how the incident had shifted her perspective on kindness, empathy, and grace. She realized that true compassion is demonstrated through actions, especially in unexpected moments when someone is vulnerable. Princess Catherine had shown this effortlessly, creating a memory that Emily would cherish forever. The story of the fan's fall and the princess's heartwarming reaction became something she shared with others, reminding them of the power of small gestures and genuine care. Even within the larger context of the royal family and public appearances, this moment stood out. It was a story that emphasized the human side of royalty, a reminder that behind titles and formal appearances, there are individuals capable of empathy, understanding, and warmth. The incident highlighted how true grace is not only in public duties or ceremonial appearances, but also in the small, unscripted interactions that touch hearts and leave lasting impressions. Emily carried the memory with her throughout the holiday season. Every time she thought of it, she felt a renewed sense of hope and joy. The experience reminded her of the importance of treating others with kindness and understanding, no matter the circumstances. It also reinforced her belief that even brief moments of genuine care can have a profound and lasting effect. The day she met Princess Catherine would remain a cherished memory, a story of human warmth and connection that she would carry for the rest of her life. By the end of the Christmas season, the story of the young fan and the princess had quietly spread beyond the cathedral. People shared it with friends, family, and colleagues, inspired by the example of compassion and empathy. It became more than just a tale of a chair breaking. It was a testament to the power of kindness, the ability of one person to transform a small mishap into a heartwarming experience, and the enduring impact of genuine human connection. For Emily, the memory remained vivid. She often thought back to that moment, replaying the princess's smile, her gentle words, and the warmth she had felt. It was a reminder that kindness and empathy are timeless values, capable of leaving lasting impressions even in unexpected circumstances. Princess Catherine's actions had created a story that would be remembered for years, not just by Emily, but by everyone who had witnessed the moment or heard about it afterward. The Christmas service itself became a symbol of joy, warmth, and community. The music, the decorations, and the prayers all contributed to a festive atmosphere, but it was the princess's heartwarming response that truly defined the day. It was a reminder that even in grand settings and formal occasions, genuine care and attention to others could create moments of profound significance. Emily's encounter with Princess Catherine was a story that would inspire others, demonstrating the power of empathy, compassion, and human connection in everyday life. As the new year approached, Emily reflected on the experience with a deep sense of gratitude. She had come to the cathedral hoping to witness a traditional Christmas service and to see a princess, but she had left with something far more meaningful, a memory of kindness, a story of genuine empathy, and a reminder of the extraordinary impact that one person can have on another. Princess Catherine's heartwarming response had turned an ordinary moment into a remarkable experience, one that Emily and countless others would carry in their hearts forever.